Want to get more listeners for your podcast? 3 different strategies that work coming up. The age-old question with podcasting that so many people want to know is, how do I get more listeners for my show? And that's what we're going to dive into right now. So strategy number 1 for this is to have a dedicated promo plan for each of your episodes. This is something that not everyone really focuses on. They just think, let me create the content, let me publish the content, and then I'll figure out how to promote it. If you figure out how to promote content like when it comes out, that's a little late in the game. What you want to do is have a dedicated plan that you use for each piece of content, for each episode that you publish. So that means saying, I'm going to send out 3 tweets about this episode. I'm going to put it on Pinterest. I'm going to use Instagram. I'm going to put it in my Facebook group. I'm going to put this on YouTube. So having that clearly laid out in advance before you come out with another podcast episode. Strategy number 2 that works are sponsorship swaps. And basically what this is you team up with some podcasts and you say, hey, I'm looking to grow my show and I have an idea that can help you grow your show as well. So if you want to sponsor my podcast for a 30-second mid-roll, I will sponsor your show in one of my episodes for a 30-second mid-roll. So each of you are sponsoring the other person's episodes, and what that does is it gets listeners from that other person's podcast to go on your podcast, and you are also helping another podcaster grow. So if you get enough of these relationships, it's easier for you to grow and help others grow. And I'm sure people are thinking, well, am I taking listeners away from my show by promoting someone else's podcast within my own show, like as a sponsor? And the answer to that is no, because we're not coming out with daily podcasts. I mean, it's a dying practice. I mean, like John Lee Dumas isn't even coming out with daily podcast episodes anymore. So if you come out with a Tuesday episode and the person who you're doing the sponsorship collaboration with comes out on Thursday with a new episode, then breakthrough success listeners or listeners for your show, they know to come in on their appropriate time. Like let's say Tuesday, for instance, that more lines up with my other podcast, but Tuesday they watch your show, they listen to it, and then on Thursday they go to the other person's show. So you're not losing your existing listeners with this. You're just giving them an extra option for in between your episode releases. And finally, our third way to get more podcast listeners is to get on more podcasts, because if you want to get on more podcasts, you have to go where your listeners are. Where are they? They are listening to other podcasts. So you want to look for podcasts in your niche. These don't have to be the biggest ones. If you're on a big one in your niche, that would be awesome, but it doesn't have to be one of these well-known podcasts that's getting like tens of thousands of downloads for an episode. Because each podcast you're on, that just gives you a little extra exposure, and all that little extra exposure really adds up. Because as you get more downloads, you'll get noticed more, and you'll get more reviews, all these different things that help with the algorithm. But if you get on more people's podcasts, that's going to help you big time. Now, I have come out with another video on how to get on these podcasts, which I will link to. But one of the things you can do is go on LinkedIn and search for podcast hosts, or go on iTunes and Stitcher and all those and search for podcasts in your niche. Because if you search for places that are going to show podcasts, it's going to be easier for you to find the ones that you are looking for. And if you are someone who is interested in how do I launch, how do I grow, how do I make money with a podcast, I recently came out with the Profitable Podcasting Summit. This is an evergreen event where we keep on adding new speakers who they make, like podcasting is the way they make their full-time income. So if you want to learn all the strategies, all the tactics, all these different things that work, I recommend you get your free ticket. This is a free event, profitablepodcastingsummit.com. The link will be down in the description for anyone who is interested. Also, make sure you subscribe to this channel if you want more content just like this. And signing off, what I want you guys to do is to dream big, achieve greatness, and unlock your potential today.